Good evening. This is the Pngtv live news at 7 o'clock. I'm Belinda Cora. Typhoon Hato, a maximum category 10 storm, slammed into Hong Kong earlier on today, lashing the Asian financial hub with destructive winds and waves which uprooted trees, flooded streets and forced most businesses to close. Please be warned, the following footage supplied to Pngtv Live may be disturbing. People were thrown onto streets with waves inundating Hong Kong's iconic Victoria Harbour and triggered large swells and massive waves in some of the city's most popular beaches, with serious flooding in low-lying areas. Most skyscrapers in the heart of the financial centre were empty and in darkness as the city's workers stayed at home and hungered through the storm. Those that did try to keep the water out quickly learned to stay out the storm. The storm also served a harsh reminder to those who tried to get in its way. More than 400 flights were cancelled, financial markets suspended and schools closed as Hato bore down on the city, the first Category 10 storm to hit Hong Kong since Typhoon Vincent in 2012. Construction cranes swayed from the tops of skyscrapers, trees coupled and residents deployed canoes to get around on some streets. Gusts in some residential areas caused damage, sending tarpaulins, roof screens and tree branches flying through the air. Maximum winds near Hato's center were recorded at a destructive 155 km per hour. A death toll is yet to be revealed at this stage. In preparation for the 2018 APEC Summit, the Royal PNG Constabulary and the Australian Federal Police opened a newly revamped Water Police Division at Konidobo today. Kaligan Tanda reports.
Speaking at the opening of the new building with boats, jet skis and vehicles, Commander of AFP Mission to PNG, Bruce Giles, stressed the importance of having an operational water police unit for APEC and PNG in general.
It's very important from an APEC perspective to have a functioning and capable with capacity water police, but also for the citizens of Papua New Guinea, notwithstanding APEC, it's important to have, I guess, the assets and the capacity to deliver a water policing capability for the citizens of Papua New Guinea. So it's important for APEC, but we don't only look on this just for APEC, we look on as an enduring capability that will be of assistance to Papua New Guinea for many years to come.
Giles attributed the success of such an initiative to the good working relationships between partners to the upcoming world event.
I think what has happened here today with the culmination of phase 1 of this project, we clearly see the policing partnership at its best. And like I said recently at the National Football Stadium, when we had a similar ceremony with respect to some vessels, vehicles and motorcycles were part of our policing partnership program, none of this can happen without the full support of the Commissioner and the Deputies and the Assistant Commissioners. And I went on the record on that day as saying it, but I'll go on the record as saying it here again today, that the policing partnership is at an outstanding level, and it's due to the commitment of the Commissioner and his senior officers and the Minister and the Government of Papua New Guinea have to the program.
We are very fortunate that
Commissioner of Police Gary Baki stated that he is looking to take the revamped water police program to other maritime provinces in Papua New Guinea.
we're preparing ourselves for APEC, so a lot of the resources around here will be maintained in Port Moresby, leading up to APEC come November 2018. I've said in my speech, yes, we're looking at extending further. We've started out, we've already established the maritime surveillance post in Morobe, and then we will be moving to other parts of the country to extend. And it's one area I'm looking at, if we are to the extent, at some stage I will be asking the Australian Federal Police to assist us in looking at the viability of them assisting us as well too.
Baki also considered the issue of the sustainability of the water police unit in the long run.
We've taken that on board. It's something we will have to be able to convince our the bureaucracy to ensure that that support is ongoing, and also immediately following APEC that we need to maintain resources like this because they are scarce, and in a sense that it comes and if we don't maintain them they become depleted, and at some stage down the line they just disappear. So I'd like to see that the maritime capability is an asset that we need to maintain, considering the fact that Papua New Guinea has got a lot of maritime provinces as well.
The establishment was officially opened by Police Minister Jelta Wong and was funded by the AFP up to almost 7.9 million kina.
Ladies and gentlemen, please look at me.
Kaligintanda, Pngtv Live.
Newly appointed Mining Minister Johnson Tuke has reaffirmed the government's commitment in supporting the mining industry and emphasized to firstly leverage on the department's deliverables in the first 100 days. Rocky Iso.
In a handover takeover ceremony last night, the Mining Minister Johnson Tuke vowed to ensure the Mining Act gets passed during his term in office.
The proposed changes to the Mining Act is focused on improving the regulatory framework of the mining sector through the application of international best practice principles. So in line with the undertaking that was given by the Prime Minister at the PNG Mining and Petroleum Conference in Sydney last year, I will ensure the new law is passed by Parliament before the end of this year.
Tuke says he will introduce a new way of thinking using 6 policies to be introduced.
In addition, I'm also quite pleased to note that the 6 new policies that were developed for the mining sector in PNG. These new policies will be brought before Cabinet immediately for endorsement so that they can be applied in PNG to address predominant issues in the mining sector.
A new policy will also be introduced on alluvial mining.
I have directed the Department of Mineral Policy and Geohazards Management to work with the Mineral Resource Authority to develop a policy for the alluvial mining sector in PNG. There is a huge potential in alluvial mining that directly serves our people. And that potential has been tapped into so that we can properly regulate it, introduce safe practices, and maximize the benefit.
In line with the government's objective for revenue generation, boosting our foreign reserves, plans by utilizing downstream processing for our gold bullion.
Let me inform you all you that there exists an intention to establish a gold bullion bank in PNG. This will bring a new development into the mining sector. I am aware, and I know all of you in the mining sector will be too, that this thinking by the national government has always existed. And this is captured as a standard provision in the mining development contracts.
Tuke thanked the Prime Minister Peter O'Neill for the confidence shown in allocating an important ministry. Rocky Iso, Pngtv Live.
Meanwhile, outgoing Mining Minister Byron Chan has revealed the personal challenges he faced as Mining Minister and congratulated his incumbent Johnson Tuke on taking up the mining portfolio. Rocky Iso reports.
Opposition.
Speaking at the handover takeover ceremony last night, Byron Chan spoke about what he felt about the attitude given to him as minister by staff of the mining sector and industry, especially after his brief engagement with the opposition in the last parliament. This also affected his role as a landowner representative and member of an impacted mining area through policy amendments and change.
As a local member and having no input in any of the discussions, apart from at times being called by the local landowners to participate in some of the disputes, I found it very difficult to deal with the government. Government and government institutions, at that time, as a member of the opposition and a local member, I found it very difficult to deal with. I found the government and the government system and the people there very ignorant of the fact that my people were being deprived of their
His mindset changed when he finally realized and appreciated the staff from the mining sector and why they had taken such an approach towards him.
My attitude and my perception of the department started to change. And And I appreciated that over the last several years. I started to realize why the department and the people were so ignorant. Because at the end of the day, they were all about Papua New Guinea. And they're all public servants trying to protect the country's interest, the interests of the state. And I was fighting the state's interests as a local landowner and as a member of the opposition at that time. So my perception changed over the last couple of years.
Things did not get any easier for Mr. Chan when he became minister, while his father and New Island Governor, Sir Julius Chan, was in the opposite side of the house.
You know, after several years working on those amendments, it finally came to NEC. Even though it was very difficult to deal with, because I come from a party with very strong views on ownership and benefits for the landowners, and that is PPP's and governor's views on ownership and benefits. Very hard to deal with when you're the son and also the minister, but in the interest of the state we had to deal with these issues, and I'm very lucky the day has come where I have to hand over these issues to our new minister.
In saying farewell to his predecessor, Mining Minister Johnson Tuke praised the young Byron Chan and highlighted his achievements.
Let me also take this opportunity to express my gratitude and word of thanks to Byron Chan, the former Minister for Mining, his leadership in the last term of government. The Mining Ministry has taken big strides under the leadership of Byron Chan in the review of the Mining Act, mineral policy, the upgrading of geohazard management's capacity in PNG. I salute your work for the excellent work that was done during your term as the Minister for Mining.
Moresby Northwest MP Semekere Murata, including 4 other independents under the independent bloc, have joined Pango Party under the leadership of Honourable Sam Basil. This was announced today during a press conference in Port Moresby. 4 independents include Governor of Central, Robert Agorobe, Member for Rigo Open, Honourable Captain Lekwa Gure, Member for Wabeg, Dr. Lino Tom, and Member for Southfly, Seki Agisa. This brings Pango Party's number to 16, making it the largest party in the opposition. The party expects to build its party numbers to 20 by December 2017. In the wake of the fires that destroyed 18 houses in Hanuabada over the weekend and on Tuesday, 2.5 million kina is needed for rebuilding. Kaligan Tanda reports.
The embers from
Community leader Lohia Boy Samuel believes the fires from Tuesday started from the embers of the smoldering ruins of the houses burnt down over the weekend.
And I think that's what started the other fire, the embers from the other houses, because the wind was pretty wild on Saturday. And it was just as well the wind died yesterday. Otherwise, it would have been another catastrophe. Because there was no wind, the boys were able to contain the fire, and we also thank the firemen for the quick action this time around. Yeah.
In terms of assistance from the public, Samuel revealed the efforts made so far and the cost to rebuild the houses razed by the fires.
We've set up a bank account in Bank South Pacific yesterday, and the victims have nominated 4 people from the respective clans that had fires, and those are the signatories to this trust account. And every money that goes in there, we have a rough calculation. It's going to take about 2.5 million kina to rebuild 18 houses at about 75,000 kina per a standard village house. And as you can see, if you turn your camera, you have another 20 to 25 houses that are severely damaged but were not burnt. So those are going to take some taken care of as well.
He also expressed his appreciation to the NCD Governor, Paus Pakup, for his assistance.
He came 2 days ago, I think it was. Yeah, he gave 75,000 kina to the families that were affected. And unfortunately, we could not open the account in time, so that money was divided, in by 15, and it was distributed amongst those whose houses were completely burnt down. But he came back in the afternoon, and he just came back with a lot of food, blankets, mattresses. So we would like to take this opportunity to thank Governor Poes Pakop and NCD as well.
Samuel stressed that so far the community was making a concerted effort to assist those displaced by the fire.
As you can see, we have three camps. They're housing about 150 to 200 people, and some people are sleeping on the other side. Some are sleeping in cars, and those who can find a home for Wantoks are in the Wantoks home. But as you can see, in the village, we have an average household of about 15 people. So so I think people have taken 1 or 2 people in. Everybody else is sleeping under these 3 very large tents here.
Kalagantanda, Pngtv Live.
And you're watching Pngtv Live News. Join us for more after this short break. Welcome back. PNG's Olympic Committee is hard at work finalizing a team to represent the country in the 5th edition of the Asian Indoor and Martial Arts Game to be held in Ashgabat. Rocky Isso filed this report.
A small contingent of PNG athletes representing 2 codes will be heading to Turkmenistan.
Asian Indoor Martial Arts Games, we've already selected the final team of athletes to be traveling. There's going to be athletes in the sports of swimming and weightlifting, and we're very confident that the team we're sending over will really benefit from this game's
The event will see the return of Dikatoa and Stephen Kyrie.
We're excited of the fact that Stephen Curry is back in the fold for Team PNG after a bit of a break, and he'll be joining, of course, Dika Toa and Thelma Toa, the 2 Toa sisters who have been dynamites for Team PNG over the year. Morea Baru, great form last year at the Rio Olympics. He's continuing on from that, and of course Lorraine Harry and Toa Adia, also consistent performers for weightlifting and Team PNGs.
The Asian Indoor Martial Arts Games is seen as preparations for our PNG athletes.
The Asian Indoor Martial Arts Games is a great chance for these athletes to prepare themselves for the Pacific Mini Games coming up later this year and the Commonwealth Games in Gold Coast in early 2018.
The Invitational sees the travel cost met by the Asian Olympic Council and will begin on the 9th of September.
And BSP has once again come on board to support the PNG Men's National Snooker Challenge with the sponsorship of 20,000 kina. Rocky Isso.
Port Moresby will once again play host to the National Snooker Titles, which will cue off on the 5th of September with the minor titles.
As mentioned, we have 2 titles in this event. Because of the interest in this national event, we created the minor national titles so that players that feel that they're not good enough to participate in the major event, they could participate in this minor event.
The competition will see current champion Marcus Ng defend his title.
I believe it's more towards consistency. That's basically what I'm practicing for, just to get a bit more consistency in my form. Yeah.
Other snooker champions such as Dijon Fong and Roger Ng will be turning up, something Marcus is aware of.
You have basically a few of those past national champions. Players such as Peter Fong, Roger Ning. I believe most likely they've been putting in some time on practice as well. So this year I would basically think that we're expecting stiff competition. So trying to put in as much hours into practice as much as I can. Yeah.
Players have been urged to register early for the tournament with a 50 kina discount for every early entry. Rocky Isso, Pngtv Live.
To sporting news abroad, it's deja vu for the All Whites, with skipper Winston Reid ruled out of their World Cup qualifiers against the Solomon Islands with an ankle injury. The West Ham defender was stretchered off over the weekend and after bizarrely injuring himself before his match against Southampton. It's the 4th consecutive international window Reid will miss, but there is good news. Striker Chris Wood, who's just signed a Premier League side, Burnley, is available and he'll captain the side in Reid's absence. And Celtic qualified for the Champions League as expected, but this second leg playoff defeat was their first of the season. Progress for Brendan Rodgers' side was never in a serious doubt following their 5-0 thrashing of the Kazakhstan champions at Parkhead last week. Celtic are through to the group stages of the Champions League despite losing their second qualifying game to Astana, the Scottish side trailing 4-1 in the second half before clawing back a couple of goals. Celtic has the last word here in Astana. Celtic advanced in 8-4 on aggregate. It was their first defeat across all competitions since losing to Barcelona in November last year. To a different Celtics team, and the NBA Boston Celtics have pulled off a blockbuster trade with LeBron James' Cleveland Cavaliers after Cavaliers point guard Kyrie Irving publicly stated he wanted out of the franchise. He is now being dealt to the Celtics after an exchange for All-Star guard Isaiah Thomas. Irving now with a chance to show he can be the focal point on a championship level, 10 out of LeBron's. Irving's game in the Celtics uniform will be against none other than the Cavaliers and Cleveland's. And that's all we have from our team here at Pngtv Live tonight. Join us again at 1 p.m. tomorrow. Good night.